Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free, impartial advice on all your debt.
Razabani for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me this morning from the UK and the evening from New Zealand, I've got former WBO heavyweight champion of the world, JP, Joseph Parker.
Hey.
What's going on, Joe?
What's going on? Firstly, New Zealand is good. It's we've done for the day now, and I'm pretty excited for the end of the year. Finally been able to lock in a fight with everything that's been happening. And so our training camp begins next week, but it'll give us, 7-8 weeks of training. So that's what I'm excited about, having a fight to look forward to for the end of the year.
Joe, before we talk a little bit about boxing and your fight that's coming up, the world's going crazy again with this coronavirus. It's getting worse again. Looks like second waves are happening. New Zealand was one of those countries that were always in control and had very, very few cases and had control. What's the situation like at the moment?
At the moment, we're back to level 1. So we had the first lockdown, and then obviously things were good, and then it sort of turned again. As you mentioned, a lot of places in the world are going to level 2 and 3. So we had another lockdown, and I think at the moment, everything's pretty good. As long as we, everyone sort of keeps to the restrictions and tries our best to keep away from each other when we're out in public and just, maintain what we're doing so far, I think we can be okay. But, it's strange times in this world. And, I just pray that everything passes, so everyone can get back to normal and so we can see fights with crowds and, everyone can travel again and mix and mingle. And, it's weird times, but, we just got to stick together and pray that everything goes soon.
So I was watching some highlight reels of your fights a couple of days ago. Just generally, it was on YouTube, came up, so I watched it. And you were doing a lot of interviews at the time. So I remember when you were here for the Huey Fury fight, which is a number of years ago, right? You seemed like a novice, you felt like you were in a different zone, complete different country. When you look back now, because that was a couple of years ago, do you feel like you've changed a lot as a person? Have you got more confident? Have you got more used to the whole media limelight and all of that?
You sort of, the more you do it, the better you get, and you still get used to it. Sometimes it does. I still get nervous sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, oh, how do I answer this or how do I answer that? But I think if you just relax and be yourself, and I think, like you say, with the experience of traveling to the UK, to America, Huey Fury, Joshua, Whyte, and a few other fights in America, that's given me a lot of confidence in myself, what I can do in the ring, but also how I conduct myself outside of the ring.
Did you say you get nervous?
Yeah, I still get nervous doing interviews and press conferences and all that kind of stuff. It's still it's still a bit sometimes I find it strange, but good strange.
Junior Farr, it was a couple of weeks ago. There were a lot of rumors that this was going to be the fight. We then heard rumors that he wanted more money, and there were slight delays. Now, do you feel like that the Junior Farr's team realized that Joe's got nowhere else to go? He has to fight us. He can't go to another country, and we're going to make as much money as we can.
Yeah, I think that they were very smart in realizing that is the only option for us. I would love the opportunity to fly to the UK or the US and fight and be on those cards that were behind closed doors, but it didn't work out that way. And I guess credit to David for working behind the scenes and making this fight happen. He put together a good deal, which is groundbreaking in New Zealand, with the TV deal and a few other sponsors, and NZME, a big company here who does media stuff. So he did a big deal, and thankfully Junior Farr and his team finally signed the contract, and now we actually have a fight to look forward to, a fight to prepare for, and hopefully we continue on level 1 so we can have a big crowd at the end of the year, a big crowd cheering for both of us. Hopefully more for me, but we'll see.
You know Junior quite well. You have fought him. I only found out recently, if I'm honest. You fought him 4 times. You won 2 and you lost 2. Now, let's talk about the last fight that you had, the one that you lost. Now, that loss prevented you going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So in the back of your mind, when you look at the situation, do you feel like it was a blessing in disguise? Because you went on to become a world champion. You went on to achieve things that he hasn't achieved yet. Or do you look back and say, there's needle in there, you stopped me going to the Olympics, I want to beat you?
Yeah, all things happen for a reason. And imagine if I did make it to Olympus, probably who knows what kind of pathway I would have taken. You know, I might have signed with someone else, probably would have been rushed into, you know, fighting top opponents in the beginning. Who knows? You know, you never know. But I'm grateful for the path that I did take, be world champion, represent New Zealand, Samoa, and have some good big fights. And I just see this as a fight where we had two wins each as amateurs, and you know, a lot has changed since then. You look at our professional careers; it's a lot different than you know. And a lot of people say the good thing is people think that he's going to win. Some people think that I'm going to win, so that makes it an interesting fight.
He's from Auckland. You're both from different clans. It's 2-0 in the amateur game. This has every ingredient to become a big fight in New Zealand.
In New Zealand, I think it has all the ingredients to make it a big fight. You know, we live not far from each other, both ranked in the top 10 in the world. You know, both from South Auckland, and we had fights as amateurs. So I think that's why the tables have, the corporate seats have sold out quite quick here in New Zealand for the fight, and the only things left now are GA tickets or general admission. And I think there's a lot of interest in people buying that and coming to attend and watching. And I think people want to see a knockout. So I'll do my best to deliver.
The professional game is completely different to amateur, but when you look at those two amateur defeats, what went wrong, do you think, in those fights?
I had no structure leading into the, you know, there's no excuses. He was better than me those 2 times, and I was better than him those other 2 times. But as an amateur, I didn't have any structure or guidance, or, you know, I thought that eating a burger or a pie, you know, is good after the training. There was no real sort of sacrifice, you know what I mean, as an amateur, because I didn't really have someone sort of experienced guiding me. But as a professional, I don't have any excuses because I've been given all the tools that I need to prepare for a fight.
And obviously, I know this is going to be in front of fans. There's not many events in the world that have fans, but potentially over 10,000 people could fill in the Spark Arena, and that would be just absolute madness.
Oh, if you, I mean, New Zealand crowds are, you know, UK crowds are crazy, but New Zealand crowds can get crazy too. So are you coming over for the fight, or?
You promised me a ring walk, by the way. Remember?
Yeah, I did, but that's when I fight there again. No, so the crowd will be good. It'll be a crazy atmosphere. I can visualize it. You know, walking out, massive crowd, getting a good win, and finishing the year off with a bing and bang.
But Joe, with or without lockdown, do you feel like you owe this to your fans in New Zealand? You've been on the travels, UK, you've had your big fights. You went to America, you've had fights there. Do you feel like it's actually a good timing for you to come back home and have kind of like a homecoming?
I feel it's a great time to come home. Despite the lockdown and everything that's happening, it's given us the opportunity to come home and set up a big fight here. And you know, when I'm fighting in the UK, when I'm fighting in the US, you know, there's a lot of New Zealanders and Samoans and Samoan and even Australians who support us and who tune in to watch the fight. So I think it's awesome that we can bring this fight back here, you know, in New Zealand with the blessing of Matchroom, you know, our promotional company that looks after us. They've given us the opportunity to fight back here in New Zealand.
All right. Well, wish you all the best, Joe, with your training camp with that fight. We look forward to all your videos that you post on your Instagram, I'm sure, leading up to the fight. Joe, just moving away from your fight, I'm not sure if you've seen over the last couple of days or last 24 to 40 hours, it seems like Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury is now officially off. The fight is not going to take place. Bob Arum did an interview with IFL, and he said that they ran out of time. Obviously, when you have a rematch clause, you put a time frame, and they ran out of time. Looks like Tyson Fury is going to have a homecoming in December before going to an anti-Joshua fight next year. So what's kind of your whole reaction to this whole Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury trilogy now not happening?
You know, I didn't think Wilder should have taken that fight. Just my own personal opinion. I think he shouldn't have. I mean, just you know, didn't they give him the option for step aside and, you know, the opportunity to fight the winner of Fury and Joshua? I don't know. I think, is that what happened?
No, not that we know of. All we've been told at the moment, it's the time frame on the contract has run out.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it's good for Fury. Who is he going to fight? Do you know? Nah, no one knows.
There's a few rumors out there. Oscar Rivas was one. We know Lucas Brown called him out on Instagram yesterday. But I don't expect it to be a big name. Obviously, it'd be hard to bring anybody over into the UK.
Yeah, at the time. So I mean, it's these things happen in boxing, and I guess they've already had 2 fights, one close, one fight very close. The other fight was a dominant performance. So I think a lot of people would have thought the third fight would have been the same way. So it's exciting that the fight now obviously has moved on, and now we're going to be excited to see who he's going to call into as an opponent, right? And then hopefully take care of business. They get the big fight happening, and then I'll put up my hand as an opponent as well.
Or maybe you could just cancel December 11th and come with December 5th.
Fury and I are good friends. I support him, and he said he'll never fight me. So whoever he fights will be, cheering.
But from a Deontay Wilder perspective, kind of where does he go now? A lot of the heavyweights out there are with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. What's his route? The titles are with Fury and Joshua. Where does Wilder go?
I think obviously Wilder's still ranked at the top, and he's a very dangerous fighter. Just because he lost to Fury doesn't mean, a lot of fighters still wary of his power and what he can do in the ring. Where does he go from here? I guess it'll be hard for him to make fights, right? Because he doesn't have the belt anymore, and a lot of people are, like you say, a lot of people are quite, still wary about what he can do. Where does he go?
I asked the question to you.
I'm asking it back because I'm actually interested now.
Yeah, you look at obviously the heavyweights that Al Heyman has and that are aligned to PBC. There's not many of them. The Dominic Brazils are still there. The Luis Ortiz are there. Not really.
Well, a lot of the fighters are with Matchroom, and obviously Bob Arum. So we've already seen Wilder in Brazil and Wilder and Ortiz. Who else is there? There's only a few, right?
The Polish from Brooklyn.
Babyface.
But
he obviously lost the fight recently to
maybe
Styles make fight.
No, absolutely. So, but what did you also make of him splitting with his trainer Mark Breland? That was announced last week as well. Randomly came out.
Yeah. Fighters are different. Fighters. I think his trainer did the right thing at the time. He was saving him from himself. But I guess there's a bit of he thought different. He thought differently. So as long as they split nice, in a sort of peaceful way, then that's okay. I mean, that happens in boxing, right? And it was a surprise to everyone, but those things happen. So we just got to respect what the fighters do and what the teams come up with.
There are rumors. It's not confirmed, but I saw a couple of articles that Malik Scott might be taking a more of a senior role in the team now. He might be number 1 and number 2 with JD. As I know you know Malik well. He's been in your camp and team for a long time. I know him well. He's a lovely guy. I have messaged him, waiting for him to get back to me. But it'd be good for Malik. Great experience for Malik as well. And he has unbelievable knowledge as well.
You what?
He has unbelievable knowledge as well.
Malik is very knowledgeable about boxing, and I'm sure he can pass on a few things and help out here and there. And it'll be interesting, to see how those dynamics work. Malik coming into play and taking over and looking after Wilder, a bit more senior role. So interesting times for everyone.
And potentially, Joe, next year we could see the heavyweight fight, the undisputed clash that everybody wants to see, and that's Joshua Fury. You were here in the UK, you were at Cardiff where we saw 80,000 people when you fought Joshua. Now you're going to have 2 Brits, 2 world champions.
2 Brits.
It's huge, isn't it?
That's huge. The Brits have taken over the heavyweight division. I mean, look at the both champions are there, and there's some great other names that are still, ranked highly in the heavyweight division. So I just want to be a part of that group, right? And I want to fight all of them and just be involved in big fights, interesting fights, and this time let my hands go.
Joe, last time I spoke to you was, I think, a couple of days after Dillian Whyte's shock defeat to Povetkin. the rematch has now been announced. So my kind of
That was
question,
fast.
sorry,
That was quick how that rematch was announced. That's
very, very quick. So my kind of question is, with the, I know Dylan White didn't take a sustained beating and it was a one punch knockout, but those one punches can give you concussion. So do you feel like it was the right thing to go in the fight straight away? We're talking about it 6 weeks away now.
you know, those. I mean, as fighters, right? Sometimes you know when you're taking a beating, and you know when you need a rest. But us fighters, as soon as something like that happens, you want to rematch straight away, and you back yourself. And even if you lost a fight like that, you were leading, and you get caught with one punch. You know, it's a lot of people will say it's too quick to jump into a rematch, but a lot of people will say, you know, it shows his character and his courage. He's courageous to be jumping into a fight like that again. So it just depends where you sit, really.
And do you think Povetkin will be even more confident this time round? Even though
Oh,
he
he'll
didn't
come
start
a lot
well.
more. I think he'll come in a lot more confident. I think he'll come in a lot more prepared. I think he'll, you know, obviously how many rounds? 5 rounds they had or 6 rounds. He'll be able to watch the clips and see what he's done wrong, see what he did good, you know, and come up with a better game plan. That's an interesting fight because obviously Whyte was winning. I mean, leading and sort of controlling the fight, and then one punch changed it all. So who knows?
And with the way Deontay Wilder and Fury's kind of scenario has ended up, do you think there's more empathy and sympathy towards Dylan White? We know he's waited so long to become that WBC mandatory. And Mauricio Suleiman has confirmed that even if White was to win against Povetkin, the mandatory won't be called for a period of time, which could take up to another 12 months. So with everything the way Fury and Wilder's kind of worked out, if Dylan had won in August, he potentially could have been that opponent in December.
He could have been an opponent in December. So just things, you know, different things happen all the time, you know, and sometimes it doesn't go according to plan, and you just have to readjust and adapt to what's happening, you know, and just come back as strong as you can.
A big fight in the UK, end of this month. A man you were supposed to fight, and it didn't happen. Derek Chisora and Alexander Usyk. They say this is Usyk's real test in heavyweight against someone like Chisora, who comes forward, has a good engine and can punch. How do you see this fight playing out?
I don't know. I'm excited for the fight. I wish I was fighting Chisora because I know what I can do in the ring, and maybe a spider took me out of that. But I think it would be a great fight. You know, like you mentioned, this will be a good test for Usyk in the heavyweight division because he's facing someone like Chisora who just comes forward, you know, throws a lot of punches and got good power. So I think a lot of people are interested in this fight. I am. I surely am.
Do you think it's harder for Chisora without the fans? We know how Chisora buzzes off the fans and the energy, but do you feel like because it's going to be behind closed doors, almost like a sparring fight, it suits Usyk more where he just hits and moves?
I don't know. I think Chisora's been around for a long time that he can mentally prepare himself for anything. I mean, he's been around in the game and he's had a lot of fights. So it's just about who can adapt, you know, to this situation, having no crowd, no one cheering, you know, go Derek, go. It'll be different.
Just finally, before I let you go, there's a big fight in America this Saturday night, regarded as an undisputed fight, but Lomachenko's not the WBC champion, he's a franchise champion. He's fighting a young, hungry, upcoming world champion in Teofimo Lopez. It's probably, I would say, in my opinion, the best fight in lockdown so far.
So, is that this week?
That's this Saturday.
Oh, damn. That'll be a good fight. That'll be a great fight. Damn, I can't wait.
Break it down. Like you got this Lomachenko who's what, 32 now. Teofimo 22, 32. Is it the young line going to take over, or is the old line going to have just too much experience?
You tell me. You tell me. I want to hear what you say.
I just think it's a great fight. I just think Lomachenko has got unbelievable skills. Everybody knows that. and Teofimo has
angle, speed, and power.
Teofimo has
And
skills, and he can punch. And the only way we thought Lomachenko could lose is if he goes up too much in weight, 140 pounds, 147 pounds. I'm just intrigued to see if Teofimo's got everything that in the arsenal that he says he has. Can he bring it on fight night and prove us wrong?
Yeah, I'm with you. Everything that you said, I agree.
Let me ask you something else then. A rumor's going around. Manny Pacquiao, Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah, Manny Pacquiao, Conor McGregor. McGregor's a great UFC fighter, and we saw, he had a good attempt with Floyd Mayweather. I think, my opinion, will be the same result as that fight. The boxer who's been in boxing for a long time and he's fought everyone, and a legend in the sport. Boxing, once you box, you're always going to have the advantage because you've done it your whole life.
Would you ever consider something like that, going to a different sport like like the UFC?
I'll consider going to volleyball or lawn bowls or something else. I don't want to be kicked or kneed in the face, to be honest. That looks a lot more hurtful. I'll just stick to the sweet science.
Joe, appreciate your time. It's late there in New Zealand. I know you're going to go for a little bit of a run and meeting up with your team next week. Kevin, who's in quarantine at the moment, I spoke to yesterday. But yeah, looking forward to this little fight in New Zealand. It's going to be fun. And Junior Far's going to be game and bring his A game to take this crown and become New Zealand's #1 heavyweight.
He'll be game and he'll come ready. But I know what I have to do, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to show it.
Joseph Parker for IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free, impartial advice on all your debt.